There was a monster in Juliet's closet. She hadn't seen it, but she knew it was there. It prevented her from sleeping and dominated her thoughts when she went to bed at night, sapped her of her appetite. She felt perpetually tired, even upon waking up in the morning. The worst part was she couldn't tell anyone about it. I mean, who would believe her? She couldn't tell her parents. They had too much going on right now. Plus, they wouldn't humor stories of monsters and ghosts. Maybe she could talk to her brother about it. As if reading her thoughts, Juliet's mother called from the other room. "Julie, could you call your brother and see if he's still at Grandpa's? Ask him if he's coming over for dinner tonight." Juliet sighed and picked up her phone. Grandpa had passed away recently, and so the family was running around setting things up for the funeral and the subsequent sale of his old house, which her brother was doing now. She dialed her brother. "Hello?
Brian, are you still at Grandpa's?
Yeah, I'm just finishing up."
How is it? Do you need my help? I can head over there.
"No, I'm good. It's hard being here, you know? It's weird now that he's gone."
I get it. Let me know if you need my help. And don't feel like you have to get all that stuff done right away. If you need a break, take a break.
Yeah, maybe I will."
Oh, and Mom wants to know if you're coming over for dinner tonight.
"I don't know, Jules. I'm pretty tired. I kind of just want to go home and rest. Tell them I'm sorry, but tomorrow I'll be over for a bit."
No worries. Talk to you soon.
Juliet hung up. Her brother was way too swamped to listen to her talk about some monster living in her closet that she couldn't even prove existed. Or worse, he'd think she thought she was being haunted by their grandfather's ghost. Soon the day was over, and Juliet was where she found herself every night. On her bed, staring at the closet door in front of her, knowing her tormentor would not let her get a wink of sleep tonight. Her father appeared at the door to say goodnight. Before he left, he placed a small music box on her table next to her bed. "Your mother and I know this has been a stressful few weeks for you. Grandpa, college, and even Brian moving out. But you should know that your mother and I, and Brian, love you very much. Grandpa did too." He motioned to the music box. "Your brother found this old music box when he was cleaning Grandpa's house. Grandpa told your mother he wanted you to have it." He wound it, and a soft tune began to play. Her father walked out of the room, leaving Julie and the music box. She laid her head on her pillow as the music from the box began to fade away. Right on the verge of sleep, she was awoken by a jolt as her closet doors began to shudder and shake, making an unsettling noise. She peeked over her covers and saw the closet door slowly opening, revealing darkness on the other side, along with a low growl signaling the presence of her monster. Juliet closed her eyes tightly and began to wish the monster was gone, or that she was asleep, or something. Something besides this. The shaking of the closet door and the growling of the monster persisted for a few more minutes, slowly getting louder and louder until finally, not being able to stand it anymore, Juliet flung the covers off of herself and turned on the light. The room fell still, totally silent. She breathed a sigh of relief and sat there on her bed. How would she get any sleep tonight? Once she turned off the light and tried to rest, the monster would return. She grabbed the music box from her side and turned it over in her hands. She actually remembered this music box from when she was younger. When Grandma was alive, she remembered her winding up the box and playing it while she was cooking or doing chores. Every once in a while, Grandpa would make his way over, and they would pretend to dance to the soft tune. Grandpa had mysteriously brought it home from work one day as a gift for his wife, and she cherished it ever since. Juliet slowly wound the box and let the tune play. She held it close to her chest as she slowly sank back down into her bed, closing her eyes. She opened her eyes to sun coming in through the windows. It was morning. Her bedside lamp was still on, and the music box was next to her. She felt surprisingly well rested, which she hadn't felt in quite some time. It was a particularly good thing today, too, seeing as she would have to help set up for the big family dinner tonight. She should probably give her brother a call, too, just to see if he was okay and to make sure he'd be there. The dinner itself went by in a blur. Family members she hadn't seen in a long time. A lot of, "Wow, you've grown so much," and "Congratulations on the college acceptance," with some "sorry to see you under such sad circumstances" thrown in there for good measure. Her brother was dealing with Grandpa's death in his own way. She would worry about him later. It was overall a very hectic time. But just like that, the day was through. Juliet was once again prepared to go to bed, but found herself just sitting there, looking at her closet door. She turned off the light and closed her eyes as she slowly lowered her head onto her pillow. Within seconds, the closet door began to rattle and shake uncontrollably, like it was about to fly off its hinges. The low, guttural growl of the beast could start to be heard. Juliet's heart began racing and her breath quickened. As the noise once again reached an almost deafening crescendo, Juliet flung the covers off and stared towards the closet door. All the noise ceased, and the door was closed just like earlier. Juliet caught her breath. She reached for the music box on the end table. She did it almost instinctively, but couldn't quite explain why. She wound the box and let the tune play. It made her think of her grandparents again. When they were young, Grandpa would talk to her and Brian about his job. They would have lunch together and play in the big yard. Grandpa didn't talk much about his job later on, but he never stopped caring about them. Things were just changing too fast. Their grandmother had died a few years earlier, and Grandpa was gone now. Brian had gotten his own apartment, and Juliet was going off to college. Nothing was the way it was before. She took a deep breath and laid her head down while listening to the soft melody from the music box. She once again awoke to the sun coming through the windows. She had managed to fall asleep without issue yet again. But how? She glanced over to the box. Could this be what was keeping the monster at bay? Every night she began to wind the music box up before sleeping. And every night, just like she thought, it kept the monster at bay. She could rest. As long as that soft melody was playing, she would be able to sleep. Her grandfather's funeral came and went. Her brother was surprisingly absent. But again, she couldn't blame him. He must have been taking it very hard. In time, the sting of her grandfather's death began to subside, along with the anxiety of going to college. Brian was acting somewhat strangely recently, drifting away from the family. But, in a way, she was okay with this too. She looked to the future with excitement now, a future filled with opportunity. Before leaving for college, Juliet was packing up items she would need for the trip. On her end table sat the music box. She hadn't needed to wind it up to sleep for quite some time. She glanced back at her closet door. She wound up the music box and let the melody play. She placed it back onto her table and closed her bag. As she left her old room and made her way down the hall towards the front door, Juliet Bennett slowly heard the sound from the music box fade away.